Hello dear viewer, I welcome you to this lesson, Primary 5 Social Studies. And we are going to a new topic today that we find on page 90, that is according to our workbooks. So, the new topic, that is topic 4 of our Primary 5 class syllabus, gives us to understand the vegetation which is in Uganda. Here we are basically going to begin our lesson, our topic, by us reminding ourselves on the vegetation, that is the definition of vegetation, which I believe we learned about in the lower classes. So in the simple way, we shall begin our lesson by writing the definition of vegetation. Vegetation, we simply define it as the plant cover of an area. That is our definition. Vegetation is the plant cover of an area. Now, we have types of vegetation that I want you to get, and we understand this now. Types of vegetation. Vegetation has got two types, which means that we have two types of vegetation. The first one, we have what we call natural vegetation. We have natural vegetation. And then the second one is what we call planted vegetation. Planted vegetation. These are the two types of vegetation that we have. Now, we are going to look at each type, understanding it more. And we are going to begin with, let's begin with natural vegetation. So we can make this a subheading, natural vegetation, as the first type. So, what is natural vegetation? Now, we are looking at the plant cover. We can say natural vegetation is the plant cover of an area that exists. We can use the word exists, or we can simply say that grows on its own. That is the definition. We are saying natural vegetation is the plant cover of an area that exists. If we can't write this word, if it is challenging to us, then we can use grows. So we can say natural vegetation is the plant cover of an area that grows on its own, which means this vegetation exists or grows on its own. No one grows it there, or no one plants those plants there in that area. They grow on their own. Now, when we look at the examples, we have the examples under natural vegetation. Examples of natural vegetation. What type of vegetation is this we are looking at? Which other examples are in this? Now, here we are going to be looking at vegetation like we have got what we call natural forests. We have natural forests. These natural forests, we can also call them tropical forests, or we can call them equatorial rain forests. We call them equatorial rain forests because they grow in areas that receive a lot of rainfall. So that is the first one. Then we shall also have the vegetation. We shall have savanna vegetation. We shall have savanna vegetation. And then we shall have the vegetation that grows on mountains. You'll find that some mountains have vegetation growing on them naturally. So that one forms what we call mountain. We can say mountain vegetation, or we say montane vegetation. So we have added wetland vegetation that we can also term as swamp vegetation. This is the type of vegetation. Remember, always in swamps, we define the swamp as a waterlogged area with vegetation, implying that in swamps we have also vegetation. So that type of vegetation is what we term as wetland vegetation, or we call it swamp vegetation. Then we also say that some parts of Uganda, that is like the northeastern part of Uganda, experiences semi-desert climate. So the vegetation which grows there is what we call semi-desert vegetation. That is another one that we shall be having. And having listed them like this, we are going to be understanding these examples or these types of natural vegetation one by one. And we are beginning with the first one that we had here, that is natural vegetation. I mean natural forests. So that is why we are having our heading here, natural forests. We say these natural forests can also be called equatorial rain forests. We say they are called equatorial rain forests simply because these forests grow in areas that receive a lot of rainfall. That is why we call them equatorial rain forests. Of course, here we are looking at natural forests, of which we know the meaning of a forest. A forest we define as a group of trees growing together in an area. Or we can simply say a forest is an area of land which is covered with trees. There are very many ways we can define it. We can say a group of trees growing together, in an area or an area of land which is covered with trees. That is also another definition of a forest. Now, when we talk of natural forests, then we mean that these are groups of trees, or these are trees that grow in an area on their own. Forests that, or trees that grow in an area on their own. No one grows them. Of which we need to take ourselves to understand what are the examples of such forests in Uganda. Examples of natural forests in Uganda. So we are beginning. We have Budongo forest. Budongo forest. Budongo forest is the largest in Uganda. The largest we have, or the biggest we have. And then we have Mabira forest. Now, Mabira forest is also large, but actually we can say it's the largest in central Uganda, meaning in central Uganda. We need to get the difference. Budongo forest is the largest forest in the whole Uganda. And then we have in central Uganda, we have Mabira, which is the largest there. But when it comes to the whole Uganda, it becomes smaller than Budongo forest. Largest in central, so we need to take the difference. This is the largest in Uganda as a whole country. So we continue. We can have Marabigambo forest. Marabigambo forest. We can have Maramagambo forest. Maramagambo forest. We have windy, impenetrable forest that we can write as windy forest. We have Sst Island forest. We can bring it here. Sst Island forest, Kalangala, Sst Island forest, and others. So these are among others. These are the examples of natural forests that we have in Uganda. Now, there is what is common in these forests. We can call that characteristics of natural forests. Characteristics of natural forests, we are looking at things that are commonly observed or what is commonly seen in this type of forests, in this natural forests. The first one, we say these forests grow in areas that receive a lot of rain. So that is the first answer we shall have. They grow in areas that receive a lot of rain. Or we can say that receive too much rainfall. That is the first thing that we always find here. Then, when we look at the wood, which is got from this forest, we say that these forests provide hardwood. They provide hardwood. Meaning that there is what we need to note about this. These forests provide hardwood. As a P5 child, we should be able to tell why do these forests provide hardwood. Because it's not good for you just to know they have hardwood, they provide hardwood, but someone asks you why. So you will find that these forests provide hardwood because they take long to mature. So we can have our definition, our note here, natural forests. I want you to be adding this information in your booklet. Natural forests provide hardwood because they take long to mature. So that is what makes them to be able to have that hardwood. These forests take long. Their maturity takes a lot of time. Then the other characteristic is when we look at these forests that grow, when you look at these trees that grow in this forest, you will find that these trees are of different species. So we can say these forests have trees of different species. Meaning we are having different types of trees growing in this forest. Now that will take us to another subheading under this characteristic. That is to understand which tree species are those that grow in natural forests. So we can talk of, for example, we are now giving the examples of these tree species. We shall have what we call mvule trees. Be very careful with the spelling. Mvule is M-V-U-L-E. Most of us make mistakes adding U here. No, it's supposed to be mvule, not muvule. So we have mvule trees, we have the ebony, we have rosewood, we have the African walnut, African walnut. We have mahogany. We have green heart. So we shall find that these trees here, which grow in these forests, are the ones that provide their hardwood trees. I mean, these trees produce or provide hardwood timber, and we have already given the reason. We have seen the tree species that grow there, implying that it is not only one type of a tree, but they are different. We have included trees, ebony, rosewood, African walnut, mahogany, green heart, and other tree species can also be growing within the same forest. They are not like for planted forest, whereby we shall have only one tree species grown in a forest. We shall be looking at that also still in our very lesson as we go ahead. So this is under this characteristic that we say that trees or in which grow there in those natural forests are of different species as we have looked at them. The other next one, we shall be looking at how these trees grow in a natural forest. You will find that trees which grow in this natural forest grow in that scattered manner. You will find a tree here, tree here, tree here, tree there, tree. So they are not grown as in rows as for the case of planted forests. So that can be another characteristic that we can bring here. The trees grow in a scattered way. Trees grow in a scattered way. And then also you will find that these trees are ever tall. Trees which grow in natural forests are ever tall. And for that we shall bring another question. Why do trees in natural forests grow tall? So simply, we have what we call response of plants towards the sun. That is what we will learn in science as phototropism. So you'll find that plants need or grow towards the sun. So you find that these trees, since they grow when they are scattered, they become too many, therefore they begin competing for sunlight. So as these trees keep on competing, one wants to be above the other, it will make all of them to grow tall. So the simple reasoning is trees in natural forests grow very tall due to competition. Let's write it as a note. Trees in natural forests. Like I said, you also be making changes in your book. You can be adding this information. It's very important for you as a P5 child. Trees in natural forests grow tall, grow very tall due to competition. Due to competition for sunlight. That is the reason as to why these trees grow very tall. Then lastly, we shall say trees in natural forests have broad leaves. They have broad leaves that are ever green. So when we look at the trees, you will find that these trees have got broad leaves. The trees that grow in this natural forest have got broad leaves that are ever green. Now, why are these trees having broad leaves? That is another question you can be asked. So you'll find that whatever you suggest, you must be able to defend yourself. We talked of these trees having hardwood. We say the reason is they take long to mature. We have talked of these trees growing tall. What is the reason? They compete for sunlight. Now we are saying these trees have broad leaves. What is the reason? This is to increase the rate of transpiration. So we would have another note here. You can say trees in natural forests. Trees in natural forests. In natural forests have broad leaves to increase the rate of transpiration. Remember, transpiration is that process through which plants lose their excess water through the help of the stomata. These are the structures that help these plants to lose the water escapes through the stomata and goes to the atmosphere in form of vapor. So since these areas are since these forests grow in areas that receive a lot of rain, so there is a high rate of transpiration, and to support that, the leaves grow when they are big, broad. That is to support the rate of transpiration or to increase the rate of transpiration. We talked of these trees producing hardwood, and we also need to note that which products can be made from hardwood. Products made from hardwood timber. We are looking at the products made from hardwood timber. The other one that we said it is hardwood. So which products can we make? Now here we make products like tables, chairs, we can have beds where we can sleep on. We have doors, the wooden ones. We have the windows, still I'm meaning the wooden windows. Of course, we have also those metallic ones. You might think that every window is made up of wood. No, we have those wooden windows, we have those wooden doors, like that. Then we have cupboards, and other products that we may not be able to list all here. So you find that those are the ones that are made from that hardwood. Tables, we have the chairs, we have the beds, we have the doors. You will also add desks here. Desks, we have desks which are wooden. But you will find that for you in your school you have plastic ones, but there are also those wooden desks. They are made out of wood, and that is hardwood. So this is what we can conclude as for the case of natural forests. The other one we would talk about savanna, and simply we shall say the savanna is that vegetation that covers the widest part of Uganda. It covers most parts of Uganda. And when we talk about the savanna, we are saying the savanna covers the widest part of Uganda. So if you are asked a question, name a type of natural vegetation. Remember, this savanna is our second type under natural vegetation. That is following natural forests. Then we also have, we are saying savanna covers the widest parts of Uganda. And then we also say that it is where most of the game parks in Uganda are located, as we shall come to look at this. But for now, I want us to go back to the other second type also of vegetation. Then we shall get back to this and others. So the second type, we are going to look at planted vegetation. Now, here we shall define planted vegetation by saying that planted vegetation is the plant cover of an area that is grown by man. I am giving you the simplest way of defining this such that you don't get disturbed. The plant cover of an area grown by man, which means that this type of vegetation exists due to man's efforts, due to man's activities, meaning without man it would not be there. So it is man who planted it there. We shall be looking at examples. What are the examples of this type of vegetation? We shall be having vegetation like planted forests. Remember, we had natural forests. Now we are going to have planted forests. We shall be having planted grass. Planted grass. We shall be having planted flowers. Planted flowers as another one. And also we can have what we call planted crops. Crops that man grows. Planted crops, for example, we can look at all the crops that man grows, including cassava, millet, Irish, potatoes, remember? Irish potatoes, beans, maize, sorghum, and many other crops. All these form what we call planted crops. That vegetation exists due to man's activities. So, let's go back and we look at the first one. We talked of planted forests. So we can make it a subheading here. Planted forests. Now, this is the opposite of the other first one that we were looking at as natural forests. We say the other ones exist on their own. They are groups of trees that grow on their own. These ones now we shall say these are groups of trees which grow or which are grown by man in an area. And when we look at our page 91, it gives us the examples of these natural, planted forests. We have the Lendu forest, Lendu, that is in the West Nile region. We have the Lendu forest. We have Nyabeya forest. We have Nyabeya forest. We have Agwata. We have Itwara. Forest. And we have finally Bugamba forest. Bugamba forest. And others that we have in our books. Like we have Katugo forest. That's supposed to be Katugo, not Kafugo. I want you to check on your spelling. The second one, Katugo, not Mafugo. That should have put it somewhere here. Katugo. Katugo forest. This is appearing as F in your book. Make it T. Forest. That is Akasogola. So those are, among others, the examples of forests those are the planted forests that we have in Uganda. Now, we also need to go back to follow what we looked at in the other natural forests, which means we also look at which things are common. Characteristics of planted forests. So which things do we see here? One, we shall say these forests are grown by man. That's the first. They are grown by man. So we can say they are grown by man. Secondly, these forests are grown in lines or rows. You find, unlike for the other ones, unlike for the other natural forests, which we say for them they grow, don't say they are grown because no one grows them. They grow in a scattered manner, in a scattered way, one here like that. But these ones are grown in rows or lines. You find man plants his in a line, another line here, another line there, like that. Then also, that's what we mean here. The other one also is they are of the same tree species. You will find that these forests are of the same type. That's what we mean by tree species. They are of the same type. Meaning that it is only one type of tree in that forest. For example, if man is planting maybe a eucalyptus forest, so you find that it will be only the eucalyptus tree or eucalyptus trees grown in that forest. Then, of course, now here we are looking at the species or the tree species which are grown in these examples of tree species. We say one can grow a eucalyptus, one can grow the cedar tree, one can have a forest of pine, one can have a garden of podo trees, and any other planted tree. Then the other characteristic is these trees produce soft wood. The opposite of the other ones now. These trees produce soft wood. And we shall also ask ourselves a question. Why do these trees in planted forests produce soft wood? We shall, based on the same knowledge that we used to answer the other one, the other side we say the other ones in natural forests take long to mature. Which means here now, these ones mature very fast. That's why they mature, but their wood will be soft. So we shall say that trees in planted forests produce soft wood because they mature faster. So we can have our note again here. Trees in we are looking at planted. Trees in planted forests have soft wood or produce soft wood because they mature faster. Means not the spelling of faster, which I am writing on the board, because they mature faster. Which means that since these trees take a short time to mature, they will not be able to have that compact wood that will become hard, as for the case of the other ones that take long building the wood. So these ones are having soft wood. Then we have products good from softwood. Products good from, let's say, made. Products made from softwood. Products made from softwood. Product number one, we have what we call plywood. This plywood it can be used to make ceiling boards. Can be used for making ceiling boards. Then we have paper. Paper. The best example is the book that you are having. You will find that that book is having that paper which is made from the softwood. So that is another product from the softwood. And then we can also have pencils. Pencils. When you look at your pencil, you will find that when you are sharpening it, you will be cutting the wood. You will be chopping the wood away. So that will remain with that lead part which rises. But what is covering it is the wood. So that is what we call softwood. And then this very one can also be used for making chalkboards. 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 Some are used for, we have some notice boards which are made of wood. Notice boards. Notice boards. We have toothpicks. Toothpicks. You have toothpicks at home, you find that that is softwood. And then we have matchboxes. Matchboxes. You find that there's those matchboxes that have that behind part which is made up of a piece of wood. Then you can light. So those are matchboxes. And then we also have some rulers. It is only that this one is made up of, this one is a little plastic, but we have some rulers which are wooden. I want you to remember in your class there was a wooden ruler. So we can also put that as wooden rulers. And the other products that I have not mentioned here, which are made up of softwood. So if a question is coming asking you to give the examples of those products which are made of the softwood, please, you will be having what to write. So the other next thing is I want us to look at the general importance of forests, and then we shall also look at the disadvantages of forests. So we begin with the importance, that is, how are forests? The mistake that we make sometimes as children in primary 5 class is that we tend to mix trees that we grow in the compound, and then we have trees that grow in that forest. So in our compound, we can grow trees to provide us with shade. That one I will give you a tick, your teacher will give you a tick, any other person can give you a tick. But when you take that answer to the trees in a forest, you talk of shade in a forest, then you will find that it becomes wrong, because no one can leave his home that is going to the forest to look for shade. That is very bad. However, we have ways through which these forests are important to us. Number one, these forests provide us with wood. They provide us with wood. So, this wood can be used for making timber or other commercial purposes. Then also, these forests provide us with, we have wood, then we have what we call wood fuel. Please, let's get the difference. Wood, we are looking at those pieces which are chopped, ready to be made or made timber, and can be used by the carpenters for making other products. Whereas wood fuel, we are looking at the sources of energy that we get from the trees or from the forest. For example, we can get charcoal as wood fuel, as a source of energy, which we can use for cooking. If not, we can get firewood, which is still used for cooking. And then we have what we call sawdust. So these are the three examples of wood fuel that are got from vegetation. Next is forests help in rain formation. Forests help in rain formation. We look at how a forest in an area helps in the formation of rain. We say when the sun is shining, we have the sun here. What happens is we have our forest here. You can name this forest, you can give it a name, give the forest a name. We can say this is Mabira Forest. This is Mabira Forest. So we have our forest here, as we can see, trees, there are many trees. So all this is our forest. So what happens here is, these trees, of course, they have the leaves here. So we shall be having the sun shining, and as the sun hits these trees, these leaves, we look at the other leaves of the trees which are in equatorial rainforest. We say the leaves are broad to increase the rate of transpiration. So as the sun hits the trees, then these trees will lose the water. We call it excess water into the atmosphere. So we have the leaves losing the excess water through those structures that we call the stomata. And this process is what we term as transpiration. Transpiration. So we simply say trees will transpire. That is, they will lose excess water through the leaves into the atmosphere. And this excess this water vapor will cool in the atmosphere, forming what we call the clouds. That is through a process that we call condensation. And the end result will be rain come or to fall from these nimbus clouds. We shall be having rain for experience. So that's why we are saying trees help in rain formation. This rain has come because of the help of these trees. So that is another reason or another importance of trees. Then the other one is trees are also sources of food. We have wild food, wild fruits. So we can say these forests, they provide forests provide wild fruits that we can go and get. We have these trees that bear fruits that are edible, that are eaten by the people. And then also these trees, these forests rather, harbor some wild animals, and don't end there. Because if you end here, you will be crossed. If you say forests harbor some wild animals, and you end there, now the person who is marking your answer will say, these wild animals can be dangerous to human beings. Is this an advantage? Wrong. it is now a danger. So you have to make your answer correct by saying forests harbor some wild animals that can be hunted. That can be hunted for food. Here now you become very specific. You are really talking of the importance. That one is very important now. These animals which live in this forest can be hunted for food. Then lastly, we can say forests are sources of herbal medicine. They are sources of herbal medicine. Herbal medicine. You will be asked a question: how do forests benefit herbalists? Of course, we have the people we call herbalists. These are people who get herbs, that is, they get the leaves, the roots of plants, and they can use them as medicine. We call them herbalists. They can use those things to treat other people. So if you are asked the question, how does a herbalist benefit from a forest? Simply you will say, herbalists get herbal medicine from the forests, and that will be your answer. Now, having looked at this importance of forests, we are also going to look at these advantages. Like I say, they are good, at the same time they can be bad, or they are not good in an area. So we are going to look at the disadvantages of forests in an area, or we can simply call them dangers of forests. So the first answer we shall say is that these forests can be hiding places for some criminals. We have people who commit some crimes, and when they are wanted to be like when they want to take them to prison, they run and hide in a forest. Not only those, we have people who are like someone is looking for someone to sacrifice. Maybe they are looking for a certain child to take as a sacrifice. So these people tend to go and hide in such bushy areas, such that they wait if that child comes across, they go and get the child, they cut the head or whatever, and they take. So those are the ones we call ritualists. They are bad people. So we can say forests harbor, or we can simply say forests are hiding places. They are hiding places for bad people. We can call these people criminals. That is our first bad, or our first danger or disadvantage of having forest. 2, forests harbor some wild animals. Some wild animals. That's what I said in the other one. When you simply say forests harbor some wild animals and end there, it becomes incomplete. Which can do what? So here we are now also specific. Forests harbor some wild animals that can harm people. Then also some forests have poisonous plants, which can kill people. We have some plants which are not supposed to be eaten. They have some plants which can kill people. And then also, these forests are hiding places for crop pests. They are hiding places. Hiding places for crop pests. When we talk of crop pests, an example we give is we have monkeys that live in those forests. So you'll find that if a farmer has a garden near a forest, you will find that these monkeys tend to live in that forest, and they get out of the forest at a certain time, they go to the neighboring garden, then they destroy the crops. You wake up as the farmer, you go to your garden, you find only damage. So that is because of this forest, it is hiding those crop pests. And I've given the examples as monkeys. Then lastly, we can simply say that forests occupy land. Forests occupy land that people would use for other activities. What I mean is, sometimes people may be wanting to do, like to construct their houses, to have where to grow the crops, but a garden is, a forest is in an area. So that garden sits on an area where people could use for other activities. And also we would say some forests have thorny plants that can prick, like in case we walk there or we come across them. So as for now, that is what I had promised to share with you. Thank you so much, and may God bless you as you continue learning in your primary 5 class. Wishing you the best.